Two major events triggered changes. For Kid, Kaido's descent on his false alliance. For Law, Luffy's interjection in his affairs. Kid would get the short end of the stick in this comparison, a running theme with his character given the story's recent events. But something I'm confident in more than anything else, Kid will return with something completely new in his sights. The same transition Law experienced through Luffy. Check out this video here to get a full breakdown of that. Link in the description down below. What I'll elaborate on here, though, is this change at the end of Dressrosa saw a cursed man so haunted by his past, he would even plaster it on his Jolly Roger, transform into a pirate who can look toward the future, starting with a complete ambition instead of a hollow goal. What spurred forth this change is the symbolism he witnessed personified through Luffy, an inactive inheritor of the ancient rulers versus a castaway god among the current rulers. One demonstrating the vestiges of radiance from that ancient kingdom effortlessly, while the other clawed at every avenue possible to mimic the one above all on his worldwide throne. Luffy's path places him beyond the current world's horizon, while Doflamingo's was a complacent seat of authority only ever emulating where he wished he could be, and it was on a far smaller scale. He yearned to decimate the clouds above him, sending gods crashing down to the hell he endured. And since he survived its wrath, damnation granted him a semblance of redemption. But his epithet painted a picture that displayed his state of limbo. The heavenly demon. Not a god, but a fallen celestial forever blighted by the lower world. If they would not accept him back into heaven, then he would destroy the ground they stand on, even if it meant crushing the world below. Then, using Kaido's self-destructive war to do all the desecrating for him, Doflamingo would take his strings and pull himself up above everything, positioning himself even higher than before he lost it all. This elaborate plan, this vapid reclamation is silenced by a simple decree of freedom, one that effortlessly carries years of history with it. He will be the man to stand on top. Not because he wants to, but because the world has been waiting for a change only his dream can make possible. Doflamingo didn't yearn to bring change. He only wanted to replace the one holding the strings. And Law? What Law saw through the conclusion of those two symbolic beacons was a potential future. An era that can only be seen by cutting through the old monsters impeding its dawn. So, the meaning of his alliance transcends from a dead-end revenge plot to the lie he told Luffy back in Punk Hazard. This time, though, he fights to make it the truth. If Law helps take down Kaido, he'll be that much closer to seeing where his roots lie, the origin of his checkered fate. He rises higher and higher until he reaches the rooftop of conquerors and stares down a man Doflamingo would never dare to, which is why the heavenly demon can never traverse beyond this point. However, like his supernova peers, Law would eventually lower himself, leaving only one pirate to clash at the summit, something almost unimaginable when looking back as early as Sabaody. 3 captains, 3 equals, none of whom willing to give way for the other. They displayed their equivocal grit when they smiled through a coming storm. But now, 2 of the 3 grimaced through the blows of a typhoon to keep her from wiping away the unwavering grin above. With Law, his dedication to this goal is self-explanatory. After all, Luffy is the very person who illuminated this new path for him. What's surprising is Kid's determination in keeping Big Mom down, instead of claiming his spot back on top to get his payback. However, things become very clear when taking a closer look at the man behind the dastardly persona. But before that, some words about today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. I'm sure a lot of you guys know by now how important VPNs can be. Anytime you use the web, even like YouTube right now, your internet service provider, nefarious hackers, and virtually any cyber spy can see anything and everything you do via your unencrypted data. Think of it like sending a letter you forgot to seal to someone. It may get to the right place, but who knows who's taken a peek in there. Like that Zoro X Sanji fanfic you love revisiting? Yeah, they can see that. That's definitely not a problem for me. Yeah. It's even completely legal for ISPs to take and sell your data to advertisers in countries like the United States. ExpressVPN completely halts the stealth invasion of privacy by rerouting 100% of your network traffic through their secure encrypted servers. Best of all, its uses are pretty multifaceted. I'm currently watching all the Naruto movies on Netflix for a new video series coming up. Thankfully, all of them are available in my country. But you know what wasn't? Blade Runner 2049. Yeah, I watched the original on Netflix about a year ago when it was still available in my country, and then when I came back around to its sequel, I was met with despair. But with ExpressVPN, you can change your IP address location to any country of your choosing, and specifically home in on a nation that has access to that show or movie. And presto, no more frustrating region blocks. I personally use ExpressVPN primarily for this feature, as it allows me to access all the content I pay for. So, if you want to give it a try, click the link in the description down below, or in my pinned comment in the comments section to get your first 3 months free. It helps save you money while staying secure, and helps me out as well. Thank you so much to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Moving back to Kid, in his introduction, we are met with a calculated false flag. He has a higher bounty than Luffy because he's merciless. Yet, in his first interaction with our main character, we see his capacity to look beyond carnage. He puts value on Luffy, not because of the havoc he ensues, but the words he utters unabashedly. This places Luffy in his sights, not as a target, but a potential obstacle. In other words, a rival. Kid would later go on to forge a link with other rivals. But why? Is it not better to use his power to crush them out of his way? Well, that's not exactly his MO. As a matter of fact, his origins into piracy started with an alliance. Kid treasured a woman dearly. His affections for her were so strong that when she was mercilessly killed, he threw away his pride to unite the other gangs at odds with his own. And not only did he avenge her, but he materialized her memory in the name of his ship, a vessel that would eventually sink under the pressure of a man at the top of a new age. However, despite that symbol's destruction, Kid will never forget what it represented, a union born from the heart's cause. The Kid pirates have heart, and it is a big one, portrayed when Kid is captured again while lamenting for Killer, when the crew laughs alongside their new BPA-ridden first mate, when Killer takes a stand to pave a road for his captain's victory, and even when the crew begs the indomitable Red Hair to spare their leaders' lives. Kid is not the maniacal savage he's alluded to be in his introduction. He's a leader who unites foes to reach further into the great beyond. Quite similar to Luffy in this regard. He didn't stay in his small haven in the South Blue after becoming head honcho. He transferred his newfound manpower to see the world. And what he saw wasn't just the surface sights, but its gross underbelly as well. Perhaps this is why he yearns for the treasure that will make forging his ideal world possible. Whether it be abolishing a system that allows pure evil to judge and exploit petty criminals by comparison, or simply to halt a system that enables lands to go without law just because they can't pay a tribute. A kind of rule that allowed Victoria to be killed. Who knows? What we do know is, Kid is willing to cooperate and unite for a larger cause, something he once attempted with other worst generation crews. But after betrayal and submission, Kid did not yield to the fate he was handed. Like Luffy, he struggled to claim redemption. And, for this unwavering spirit, he is rewarded with an awakening. And he uses it not to claim all merits for himself, but to allow a rival to claim the biggest pot. And the reason why all lies in his implicit desire to unify for a cause. Luffy is a man with grit. Kid saw that in him as early as their first interaction. He isn't a pirate who would shy away from an allied fight when things are looking grim. Where Kid once met a great loss, willingly forming an alliance with a plan, now, not only is this tag team against a different emperor not on the agenda, but the two captains he aligns with aren't even a pact in name. They just all happen to have desires that necessitate defeating two monsters. And the trait they share is what makes their unison truly an alliance. Their indomitable wills. Kid is not selfish, nor is he opposed to teamwork. That much is clear. Why wouldn't he allow worthy men to help him bring down an unprecedented team-up? Why would he allow half their fighting strength to regroup into that insurmountable calamity? After all, the beast before him is still an emperor, the same status as Kaido. His victory over Big Mom will have equivocal impact on his redemption. And not only that, he'll have done it with a unit who are truly here to build a new age, instead of people slyly cowering beneath a dated regime with farcical ambitions. And it is the combined strength of two new generation captains that bring out Big Mom's dead-end road, a reign of complacency. She says as much herself, that she'd been ruling for decades before this novel batch of contestants barged in. But what exactly was she doing in that time? Think about her peers. Kaido prepared for a war he would initiate. Blackbeard schemed many times to reach his current position and beyond. And Shanks? He treads still waters not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary to reach his goal relevant to Luffy. All of these emperors seek something outside their domain. But Big Mom, she indeed yearns to make a world without discrimination. Yet not only is she paradoxically prejudiced, but she never expands her influence to home in on her dream. Instead, she created her own wonderland as a microcosm of her true desire. And not only is it a mere tiny replica, but Big Mom engrossed herself in it to the extent it became her whole world. She never actually cared about the state of the globe, merely only what she could see right in front of her, which is consistent with her and Mother Caramel's relationship. A picture representing that esteemed figure, acting as if it's a viable substitute for unanswered questions. But she doesn't think about them anymore, because she has everything she desires in her own little bubble she built for herself. Even when Big Mom does expand her influence, it's not only exclusively actualized and maintained by the fleets under her, but she's not present to understand the territory's deeper relevance. Think of Fishman Island, a land historically plagued by discrimination. Yet, unlike Whitebeard, who defended the land out of pure benevolence, Big Mom ignores their plight related to her dream in favor of fueling the complacency she relishes in on her turf. Fishman Island is a candy supplier, nothing more. Hers was never truly an ambition at all, but a wish she never had the gumption to fulfill. While fighting Kid and Law, she doesn't acknowledge what they've managed to accomplish with their status in such a short amount of time. They aren't emperors like her. She's supposed to be on the roof, on the same level as the strongest creature, not down here with lower scallywags. To be briefly brought down out of her seat at the summit is unimaginable enough. But now, these two fledglings think they can keep her here? She is Big Mom, the one known as an emperor for so long. But no person, no reign, no era is timeless. While Big Mom fights to climb her way back up to a complacent status, the two captains before her struggle to dismantle a blockade, impeding a new dawn. One the man above them will make shine brighter than any other before. To ensure that progress comes, Law and Kid bet on not only their own power, but Luffy's as well. Because after all, regardless of the relationship with him, Luffy always turns out to be a man people bet on. And it's not simply the main character effect, but what Luffy so effortlessly exudes in all situations. Something everyone fundamentally resonates with. Freedom. Like Kaido, Big Mom subjugates. Her citizens might be free of the world government's corruption, but they aren't free from hers, nor are they safe from her indiscriminate wrath. Absolute liberation comes with the price of staring down monsters, but these two don't quiver so much as a hair when Big Mom exudes death. They may face defeat, but they will never be conquered. Charlotte Linlin is disabled from singing her death song. Law makes sure of that, using an inherited power that means so much to him. And this barrier of silence rids Big Mom of hers, an ability she inherited not by the choice of the one who passed it down, but as a consequence of her unchecked prowess. And similarly dichotomous to Law and Corazon, Linlin never did and never will understand Mother Carmel's true desire. A poetic finisher that muffles the cries of a complacent conqueror. She doesn't blame her lack of strength or underestimation. But Roger, a man who hasn't been alive for ages, she ponders if the One Piece he declared truly exists. Because if not, this alliance might have never been worth the price in the first place. But the ones now watching her fall from above never consider that question, because they all embark on this journey to find out for themselves. That is the true meaning of freedom. This subjugator who is plucked off the summit is so deluded by her stagnant status that even her final words are a promise to reclaim it. She came to this land because she couldn't acknowledge her defeat at the hands of a pirate below her, and now she is greeted with a permanent setback by two other captains who are covered in equivocal grit. Yet still, she persists to ignore their triumph, believing she will surely retrieve what has always been hers, but she'll never grasp it again. That much is certain. Life is easy when you are born with might, but it is the mighty who cannot comprehend transcendence that fall the hardest. Law and Kid soon after this meet another fall of their own, but unlike Big Mom, they have something before them they've been sailing toward, and both have had their fair share of setbacks in the past. While these events might be the most detrimental they faced, all the more reason for them to bounce back stronger. Like Law at the end of Dressrosa, I believe Kid will return with a new goal in his sights. Could it be linked with his brief conversation with Killer? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. As for Law, his future is more up in the air at this point. I can see Oda taking multiple routes with him and it being satisfying. So, I won't make any predictions there. What I can say is, their future is sure to be relevant to the great battle that will engulf the world. A conflict beyond the One Piece. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed what I had to say. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss another upload from me either. Huge shout out to my top supporters: Yo-Yo Man, Thomas White, Dre, and Sensei Crolon. You guys are epic. Another big shout out to Marimo for editing this video. And of course, Trapham for making the epic thumbnail as usual. Okie doke, that's all folks. Spice Boy, out.